We all ask ourselves, how am I going to become the person I want to be? It's three things: the vision in your mind, the feeling in your soul, and the movement of your body. It's your life. What's your purpose? This is The Healthy Grind. Welcome to The Healthy Grind, brought to you by Space 226, Drive Films. I'm sitting here with Christina Lagrega, and today we're here to talk about The Healthy Grind, which is the grind of staying fit, eating healthy, and living a good, balanced life. And you're a perfect example of all three. And so, just to give everybody a little background on Christina here, she is somebody that lives her life with her heart. She's a dedicated mom, family person, an influencer in the industry. I know she hates that word, but I brought it up on purpose because it's true. But she's very influential for the right reasons. And because her ability to touch people is really what drives her. You kind of got started pretty early on in entrepreneurship, right? We had a facility, and then obviously family came along. So, being that family is so important to you, you made that shift, and I've been able to experience that through you and with you from the time that we've known each other, and now you're working for Lifetime Fitness as a New York City Talent Scout and a national educator and presenter, which is a big deal. I was in corporate for a long time with Equinox, being a personal training manager and doing education for trainers, and then I broke out and I went into entrepreneurship. So, we always have great conversations about kind of the overlap and what you're going through and what I've been through, and vice versa. So, where I'd like to kind of start is just kind of where things got started for you in terms of you getting into the fitness industry and you making a difference in community.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today. Super excited to be a part of this. I do hate the word influencer for so
Mm-hmm.
many reasons, but it is so important to make sure that if you are an influencer, that you're influencing for the right reasons and it's coming from the right place. So, since you've branded me with that word, just to talk a little bit about my background and how I even got into this industry without diving too much into it. I have a completely sordid childhood past. It was a very gray and dark place. And for many years throughout my teenage years, I was extremely lost. I went through these cycles of these random jobs from bartending in Manhattan to business banking to real estate, all these empty places that didn't serve me. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, graduated with a bachelor's in advertising and marketing, top of my class, and still didn't know what to do with that. All of
Mm.
that hard work, and I still had this empty void that I didn't know how to fill. And I sat down one day, and when I decided to have a family, get married, have children, I needed to figure out what was, aside from having that incredible family, what was going to fill that empty void that I still had that nothing was seemed to fill.
Sure.
And I really thought back to all of these things that I did throughout my entire life, even being a kid. And it's like helping, be friends with that random person on the playground that was new to school that nobody wanted to talk to, or finding someone that, needed help in school with their math homework. And then as I got older, it was helping give someone 50 cents on the street corner because they needed something to eat. It was, and those things really just made me feel good. Um, and when I was in my late teen years, I used to use Craigslist as like my source of just figuring out how to make ends meet. Like, where could I find all these
Okay.
random jobs?
Sure.
And I remember coming across these ads looking for speakers for local New York City high schools
Mm.
that had any kind of impact. I mean, these kids were so lost and they just needed someone to relate to. And I would respond to all of them. And for about a solid 3, 4 years, I would go to local New York City high schools and I would talk to thousands and thousands of kids about abuse, physical, emotional, mental abuse, sexual abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
abandonment. And seeing the reaction that I got from that created it filled that void that I had.
Sure.
So here I am. I'm like, okay, I went through all these odds and end jobs. Nothing worked for me. And I really was like, okay, you know what? There was that time or those times when I would reach out to people and share my journey with them, and they took it. And that feeling and that reaction that I got from them filled that void. So, where can I go from here? How can I recreate that as an adult?
Right.
And incorporate my family life and everything that I wanted to build from there. And movement was something that I always was a part of, whether it was dancing or athletics. And I was like, okay, let me dabble in this fitness industry a little bit. And I used my dance background and moved right into Zumba because that was the only thing I knew how to do in the moment. And it literally took one person to come up to me after a class one day and say, you know what? I had a horrible day. There's so much going on in my personal life, but for 60 minutes, none of that mattered. And I felt so good and I felt so much joy. And thank you. And it took that one person for me to be like, this is it. This is exactly the lane that I am destined to be in. And now, how can I jump into this lane and just, create this giant boom from it? And that was how I wound up in this industry.
Sounds like it's very deeply rooted with obviously, like you said, your upbringing and your ability to bring out positive emotions and reactions from people. So you ended up taking one Zumba class and you eventually turned that into a dance studio, a group fitness studio. So tell me a little bit about that.
So once I started to be in the industry for a couple of years and I saw the impact that was not even that I was creating, but the possibilities that this industry had, I was like, okay, you know what? I need to do this my way. So I went ahead and with the help of my husband and my family, I opened up Remix, which was one of the first group fitness studios to open up outside of Manhattan. And with that, I'm like, okay, we're going to go into all these multimodalities from boot camps to dance to yoga and
Hmm.
but what else can I do that's different? How do I really take my passion and bring it into this force? And we came in with really a mission, and it was within these four walls, you're walking in these doors and you're going to take a class and you're going to be a part of a community that's going to make you feel empowered and spectacular and great and strong. But now that we've given you all of this, what can you do with that on the outside world? Can you take all of that positive feeling and impact that you've been able to gain in these four walls and run with it? Can you bring it back to your family? Can you bring it back to your community? Can you do it with each other? So we came up with this giving back method, and it was every single month for as long as I was in business, we had some kind of event, fundraiser, speaking engagement, workshop. There was always something going on that we were doing for the greater good. We would have Girl Scouts come in and we would do things with them. We would create fundraisers for the Wounded Warrior Project, St.
Mm.
Jude's, St. Mary's Children's Hospital. There was always something. Sometimes it wasn't even that big. It would be, you know what, we had a member that was going through hard times. So can we all collect and can we pay for her membership for the month? There was always something going on, and it created this community and this brand that people started to really recognize. And it was okay, you know what, they're not just a small little group fitness studio, they're a movement, they're an
Sure,
empowerment.
sure.
And this brand that I created started to become literally national. Like everyone started to recognize it. And it was unfortunate that after a few years, I kind of hit the place where it was okay, do I want to focus on being a parent
Hmm.
or continue to grow this, magnificent brand? And from an actual physical standpoint, I said, okay, I need to close my doors because my family needs me, but I didn't want to give up everything that we created.
Sure.
So I found the way to close the doors from a physical, freestanding fitness studio, but create this brand that's carried with me now for almost 9 years across the entire country and then some.
All those things that you've created through Remix, the facility, and then now you've turned it into obviously something beyond just four walls. I feel it's one of the ways where we also connected in terms of some of the commonalities we have in putting community first, right? So the way we actually connected was me coaching your son hockey. So, and that was me obviously taking the time out to work with the youth because that's also something that's always has been important to me is to kind of give them some activities beyond an iPad, an iPad. iPod was like my era, but iPad is their era. Um, and obviously get them out moving, expose them to things that they're not exposed to every day. They don't have to necessarily be a hockey player the rest of their life, but they learn how to skate. When it comes to dance, my background is in b-boy and breakdancing, and again, they don't have to be the best breakdancer, but you know what? At a party, they're gonna learn a couple of moves that is gonna be a little bit more than just a Fortnite shimmy, floss, and whatever else the moves are called. You've talked about, kind of what Remix represents in terms of the brand, and obviously it's from you, and it's become so much bigger that now, you really want to kind of spread your influence way beyond those four walls, and to people who, really need it. And we talk about the social media era, and your challenge to me has been, look, Steve, you got to get some content out there, and and you're absolutely right, because I specialize in the one-on-one field, so I don't always have the opportunity to touch a lot of people, but that's why I still like to kind of go out and do some of the group events. But this platform is also going to do the same thing, because this is an educational platform where obviously we're spreading the messages out to a larger audience, and then we're putting things together so that people can participate. So tell me about this event that you're planning on July 28th here at Space 226.
So, throughout my years doing this and being in this industry, I've met so many incredible people, both near and far. And even not even in this industry, just people in general, whether you're in fitness or not. It could be, school moms in the school field,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be people in the supermarket, any and everywhere. And I feel like we've all kind of lost this sense of who we are. We've created this fake image of who we are.
Lost our souls.
Yeah. So what I mean is, we'll use social media for a moment.
Uh-huh.
We are creating, you look at these photos and you're like, wow, their life is full of all of this excitement and whatnot. But it's like, okay, so
it's fake, it's phony.
Yeah, it's fake, it's phony. And it's just, is that really what your life is consisted of? Or is that what you want it to be?
Right.
And do you want it to be that for the right reasons? Or are you trying to compete with, who are you competing with? Is it yourself? Is it with
your
the
ex-boyfriend?
Any and everyone.
What is it?
The ex-wives. It can be. It can be
deep.
any and everything. So I wanted to scale it back. It's, and this goes back to filling that void that I had. We all have something that we're trying to fill, right? But are we looking to the right places to fill it? So when we wake up in the morning, and you and I had this conversation, we've had it in the past, it's like, we're like, oh man, I have to go to the gym today. I have to bring my kids. Well, you'll ask me, what do you do? What did you do this week? And I had to take, Nikki to the dentist, and I had to take Adriana to soccer. And then pause for a minute and kind of just change your wording. It's like, no, you know what? I didn't have to do anything. I was able to bring my daughter to her soccer game and watch her grow as an athlete and as a member of society and as a child. I was able and blessed with being able to take my son to the orthodontist and make sure that he has a healthy mouth. Like, these are things that we're privileged and able to do that there are many people in the world that are not able to do.
It's true.
So it's almost like by changing the way that we're looking at things, something so small can create such a bigger impact within ourselves. It can make you feel so much better. So this workshop that I've created is to just change perception and to look at what we already have and look at it through a different lens, instead of looking for things that don't already exist in our world that might not even be real or attainable. It's use what you already have, the foundation and the tools, and just use them the way that they're really designed to, instead of finding these fake ways of using them. And then on top of that, it's also human interaction. So we're losing sight of having conversation. How many times do you sit at the dinner table and everyone's on their phones? Or how many times do you go to the park with your kids and you don't even see what they're doing? And they'll be like, Mom, look at this. And you're like, yeah, I see. But do you? Or you look at them, but you're looking at them through your camera lens. You're not even looking at them through your actual eyes, because you're so fixed on taking a picture for safekeeping, for memories.
Or posting it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, let me capture this moment.
You're going to capture this moment.
You're
for
not even in the moment.
People that don't even care about it, as opposed to what really matters in that moment, and creating these memories in your own mind. So this workshop is to just bring people together to create just self-awareness and self-reflection,
Sure.
and taking a look in the mirror, a real mirror, not
Mhm.
like a selfie mirror, and
Mhm.
saying, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I've created, this is what I can do, me as an individual, not all this pretend outside interference, and doing it with other people. We look at strangers and we have this uncomfortable feeling. I'm in the group fitness field, and
Mhm.
I have to laugh because anytime I'm like, okay, look at the person next to you, you're going to work with them. And all of a sudden, everyone has 30 feet of space in between them because it's almost like you just spoke some kind of alien code.
Mhm.
Because nobody wants to work together. You want to
Yeah.
be in group fitness where you're in a class to kind of work off of people's energy. But as soon as we say that you have to interact with them, everyone freaks out. But
Sure.
why?
Sure.
It's because we don't know how to do it anymore.
It's scary. It's
Like
very scary. I'm scared for the kids. I'm scared for the youth.
yeah, and kids, my son, and not to dive into that at all, but my son has a social anxiety disorder, and he just doesn't know how to interact with other children. And it really is because as parents, we don't know how to interact with our own kids and with the own people around us, and they're seeing that. So, when we say kids are sponges, it's not just with the words that we use, it's with the way we interact with the world.
100%.
So this workshop is just to, bring it back to pre Apple time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and pre technology time, and just, be there, be aware, be in the moment, be current, and be a real human being.
Well, I think it's something that's definitely needed, and especially as someone who deals with people every single day on both levels, right? The level where you're coaching, and then also the level where you're actually recruiting, and you're watching how people interact as a coach.
Right.
And obviously, I have that background too, where I would be evaluating trainers and be like, "Are you paying attention? Or are you on your phone? Why are you sitting down? You're training. You're coaching.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
I
Like,
tell
do you
you
not?
that all the time.
Why are you
I'm
on your?"
joking.
Not true. They're just worried about looking good, looking good and how many followers and stuff like that. So I'm all in favor of quality interactions. Obviously, coaching on a higher level, and that's why obviously me and you are here to kind of just bring that to the surface. So besides that, I mean, it's this is part of the Remix project. This is just one little piece, and what I think that a lot of people don't even know is some of the other remix projects that also go on and have been absolutely booming. And there's two more coming up that kind of follow this workshop. And I want you to talk a little bit about um, the beginning of school. I know we're at the end of school right now, but it takes a lot of planning in order to put this into place. So that's why we talk about it now.
Right. So before I even get into that, just to kind of create that platform for that,
Sure.
part of being, in this industry for me is, okay, so if I'm going to, and using social media is, okay, so if I'm going to have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 followers, 5 followers, however many people I can touch through all of these platforms, what are you getting from that? Like the likes on a picture, like, okay, that's not going to help me sleep at night.
Right.
But it's what can I do with this entire platform that I've created to, again, continue to fill that void that I have. And humanitarian projects and being a part of, philanthropy and all of that has been something that has been in my soul for as long as I can remember. And, going back to the initial conversation we had when I talked about having a really challenging childhood, one of the things that I faced growing up was just not having enough money to make ends meet. And I remember going to school and having to, scrounge around for the broken crayons that I had from the year prior, or from maybe I got for Easter,
Sure.
some random part of the year. And I know the feeling of going to school and seeing all these other kids with their brand new backpacks and their freshly pointed Crayola crayons,
Sure.
and all these cool things, and not having that, and that feeling so, that feels terrible when you see all of these kids. And as a child, you don't understand.
Right.
So one of the things that I came up with a couple of years back was this backpack drive, school supplies drive. It was making sure that as many kids as I possibly could reach did not have to feel that same way. Especially this day and age. This day and age, kids can be so cruel, and they don't know any better, but it's just the way it is.
Too many bullies out there.
Too many. So if having a complete marble notebook and a pack of crayons and a folder that has a cool picture and a cool backpack can make them feel, can make their shoulders stand a little bit stronger and more proud when they walk into school on that first day,
Absolutely.
that sets them up for their entire year. Like that first couple of days
Mm.
of school can set them up for success or failure. So I wanted to find some way to set them up for success.
Mm.
So I put this backpack drive together, really not thinking anything was going to come of it. And I'm like, okay, you know, I put a couple of things out on social saying, hey, I'm putting this backpack drive together. If anyone wants to send me backpacks, and brand new, like I don't want these kids going to school with someone else's, like I brand spanking new.
Mm.
If anybody wants to help and send school supplies. And I was getting flooded with messages to the point where I was putting Amazon lists together so people could literally, I mean, we had as far as Greece and Italy, people sending supplies in. And this was 2 years ago. And we had about 125 backpacks completely filled. And it wasn't just backpacks, it was toiletries, toothbrushes, you know, things that you need, your basic hygiene items.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
anything in snacks. Like people were really sending gift cards in, and I was like, okay, this is incredible. And we delivered them to shelters and you know, orphanages and schools that were reaching out to me saying, hey, you know, we already know that we've been into school for a week, but we have X amount of kids that came in with nothing. Do you have anything? I'd be like, absolutely. You know, we have, and I would supply them with backpacks. And that was incredible. And I was like, okay, if I can do this with, I don't want to say without tons of what's the word I'm looking for?
Resources.
Yes, thank you. Then how big can I make this by really dedicating a decent amount of time to it? So last year I said, okay, I'm going to double that number. I'm going to double it to 250 backpacks. And I did the same thing. I just used a little bit more time and I put more effort into it. And we had over 500 completely filled. I mean, my entire house looked like it was like a BJ's warehouse.
Yeah, like in your basement. I remember seeing pictures.
It was all over my house. And it was backpacks, you know, your basic school supplies. And it went as far as we had people giving Kindles, iPads, anything and everything to just scientific calculators to make sure that these kids could get all the way through high school age, can get through their school year without having to worry about what they don't have and without having the resources that they needed. And I had people sending in things from all over the world, boxes and boxes. I'm pretty sure my mailman quit after all of having to deal with me all summer. But it was incredible. And then the day that, there was one day in particular that I did this big delivery for School District 18 in Brooklyn. And I went to their field day and we had this big enclosed area and we had all these backpacks. We had about, I would say about 400 backpacks just displayed all over the ground. And we'd have each child one at a time. And it took a very long time. And they would come in and they would pick their own. So we had these, you know, kindergarten, first graders, 6, 7 years old coming in and watching them pick out their favorite, you know, Barbie backpack or Spider-Man backpack. And the look on their faces, like for, I would say out of the 6 hours I was there for the day, 4 of them, I couldn't hold back tears. It was just such an incredible feeling.
Oh.
And you could see these kids, it's like something so simple, completely just made their lives at that point. Like, you know, their short lives, they felt like they were just given the world.
Sure.
Because of a backpack, something that we take for granted, because of some paper and folders and pencils. So, you know, what I've created is just this feeling. It's really just a feeling of like, okay, you know what? There are good people out there. The world is not such a crappy place. And there is help. And I just have to just keep going. And just when the help is there, take it. When it's not there, know that there are good people out there. And I just have to find my way.
This goes beyond fitness. It goes beyond just the one workshop. You know, this is a movement, like you said. It's year-round effort. It's with your heart. It's with your soul. And it's really just to empower people, empower community, and just do it for the greater good. The world needs a lot more Christina Lagregas. That's really the message. And, you know, I say that with total authenticity. And it's something that I just recommend a lot of people look into and look, they can make a donation. They could participate. I know you're going to need a lot more hands this year, but there's a lot of wonderful things that the Remix Project is a part of, even including a holiday toy drive.
Yeah, so similar to how school starts. Everyone gets excited. It's first day of school, getting ready. You go to all the stores and you see all the pretty colors and crayons and whatnot. And then the holidays roll around. And it's the same feeling. You see all this greatness and everyone's getting ready for whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, and whatever holiday you celebrate, but you're getting ready for that time of year. Now, if you're one of those children that are not privileged enough, and I say privileged with as loosely, to be able to wake up to, those gifts underneath your tree, that's a really horrible feeling. So for the last couple of years, I've done a similar project where I've reached out to my audience and said, you know what, guys, I'm going to need your help. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to need your help. And then I would reach out to local shelters, schools. Again, this past year, I worked with School District 18 for both events in particular because they have, just think about this number. So one school district has over 10,000 families that live under the poverty level.
Wow.
10,000 families. Now, that doesn't mean 10,000 children because and when we go into this, like I was amazed at how one family could be 4 or 5 kids.
Oh, sure.
So, we're talking 10,000 families times multiple children. That is a lot of children under the poverty level. So I worked with them for the holiday season and I said, you know what? I don't know how many families that I can help, but I know that I want to do something. So I reached out to my platform. I got what we called holiday angels or holiday elves. And we had 26 people that were willing to help 26 families, regardless of how many kids there were. And you have to remember, the holidays is a tough time for everyone. So I wasn't looking to do the same type of numbers as the backpack drive, but still help whoever and however. So they took 26 families and I went to the school and I said, okay, I need 26 of, and I it's never a competition on like who's most underprivileged. I mean, that's horrible to say, but I just need 26 families that, really need this extra something for the holiday.
Sure.
And that's exactly what they delivered, 26 families. And we had about 60 something children. I think it was 64 was our final number. And each parent or guardian got to pick, had the kids involved in their lives, pick 2 things that they need and 2 things that they want. So need was winter boots, a jacket, undergarments. I mean, just things that they needed.
Sure.
And then the wants were, some of them were far-fetched. Some of them were like, I want a new computer, PlayStation.
Yeah.
They're kids. That's what they want.
Right.
And some of them, I don't want to get emotional, but I had kids that were like, I want mom, I want dad, I want, I want this for my sister. I want my sister to be able to talk to me. I want my brother to not get bullied. I mean, like these kids are giving you lists and you're just like, holy wow. Like, it really does create a different light in your eye.
Sure.
But I was like, okay, I'm going to find a way to deliver all of this. So we went through all of these lists. We had all of these donors get everything that these kids asked for. If this kid asked for a PlayStation, they got a PlayStation. These kids asked for an iPad, they got an iPad.
Wow.
These kids asked for things for their siblings. We got the things that they asked for their siblings. We made sure that we delivered exactly what they asked for because these kids don't ask for much. They don't get much.
Sure.
And then, there were kids that asked for bigger things, that asked for beds so that they don't have to sleep on the floor, dressers, desks so that they don't have to do their homework, on a park bench. And then with the help of my husband's company, he went and he made sure that anything like a bed or a desk or a dollhouse, that our contractors or his contractors donated their time and went and built all of these things. So it was a huge, collaboration. But we made sure that these kids woke up Christmas morning and felt good and felt happy. And it was also just like the backpack drive. It was for one day, even if for just a few hours, if these kids could feel hope and happiness and joy, then I'm okay. Like I am really good with that. I'm really good with being able to deliver that little bit of spark that you needed to know that the world isn't a terrible place and that there is hope for a future and for just brighter moments.
For sure. Well, shout out to Artie, by the way, because he's very involved with all your projects.
All my kids are.
Yes.
Our and I didn't mention this before, but I got a little slack this year. They were like, "We want to help with your backpacks." And I think you had even asked about it. Like,
Yeah,
"We'll help.
yeah,
We'll come over. We'll fill them." I'm like, "No, we're gonna just keep
yeah,
sending the
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because that's the one thing that my family gets involved with.
Mm.
I don't if it's 125 backpacks or 500 backpacks. My kids sit there, my husband, and all 5 of them will sit there for hours and hours filling these things up because they also understand the value of creating
Sure,
this
sure,
moment and this impact.
sure.
So it's a full, we always say party of 6, and it's really a party of 6. We make sure that we collectively get involved in this type of stuff together. My daughter missed school the day that we did the holiday drive, and
Right. Yeah, to make
she
the deliveries.
refused to
Yeah,
go to school. She was like, "No way,
yeah.
I'm coming. I want to see these kids. I want to help. I want to give everything out." And she stood
It's
there
amazing.
and she handed everything out, and it was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Project Remix, that's what you got to follow, the hashtag.
Yeah.
Hashtag Project Remix. Where else can people stay in touch with you and get involved? Tell me.
So, since we're in the world of Instagram now, it's really super simple. My name's Christina Lagrega, and you guys can follow me at Christina.Lagrega. Had to add the dot because somebody already stole the full name.
Okay.
There's another one of me out there.
Yeah, yeah. Not
But
the same.
not the same,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, at Christina Lagrega, and then yes, hashtag the Remix Project and
Cool.
all of our fun stuff, and any and everyone is more than welcome to get involved with, yourself included.
Oh,
So
100%. 100%. This is just the beginning. Sunday, July 28th, right here at Space 226. Project Remix comes here. Registration is starting to open up. Christina, thank you. This was amazing. And it's very important that, we do get this information out because you're doing some amazing things as an influencer. But one that truly is both, in the fitness field. She's not just muscles and tattoos. She's very special. So thank you for being such a great friend, a great influencer, a positive person in my life. And, I hope a lot of people get behind this movement.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you for doing the same. You have also been look. What is this? I've been a great friend and a trainer. So for everyone that's listening right now, I do this as a living or for a living, and Steve has still been my trainer for the last 3 years now. So yeah, the hard work has definitely been a collaboration here. So thank you for all that you've done as well.
Totally. All right. Pound it out. Thank you. Healthy grind. We out.